Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Monday. Oh, Friday. It's Friday, January 2nd. I'm kidding you. It almost feels like a Monday, doesn't it? To be, this morning or this sitting here doing my stuff, say it's Friday, it's weekend's coming up. That's kind of weird. We just came off a day off. Anyway, it is this midweek holidays that throws you off, doesn't it? So anyway, so we had the Fridays or Wednesdays trading, New Year's Eve trading, and the market was just not in a good mood at all. It closed out the year to the downside. I guess a last minute tax selling or something going on there. Last minute rebalancing, but there was a pretty weak day going in on in pretty weak day going in on New Year's Eve. We were been up. It felt like a move out of the middle to the downside. Now coming into this overnight, we have retraced pretty much the whole thing, and we are right back to kind of where we started. So this I may be able to write it off. Depends on how the day develops. Write it off as a, a fake out to the downside. Uh, it just depends if they can hold this upper area or not. But they're right back up here against these areas. Above that 69.10s, just shy of the 69.30s, holding right there. So we'll see if they can get up above this area, the 69.30s and 40s here, and trade above it. I think we'll be right back up in this upper range again. So it's surprisingly strong overnight. But then again, the sell-off, the most of the day session on Wednesday felt like okay, just drifting lower. Then they had this big selling going on towards the very end into the close there. That wasn't too good. So that was a last minute sell off. And at that point, I figured like, oh crap. But then again, you kind of just have to take that with a grain of salt because I mean, you're coming into like year end, year end, month end, big news, stuff like that. You kind of have to take those with a grain of salt. And right now, it looks like they reversed most of it. They're back up right here, that this upper area of the Wednesday distribution. And I'm going to start off range bound, as I said before. Maybe this was the cutoff of the selling right now from this move. We had this move out of the middle come up here from the 18th, run it up here into Christmas, the little Santa rally. They cut off the selling here at the 69.90s right about Christmas, and then they've been drifting lower ever since. And now we're back, maybe back up again. That means that we cut off the selling, and we may be entering into a distribution here where we're going to have to try to see where value is going to be. But that's kind of the dynamic I'm looking at right now. It's anyone's guess how this is going to develop, though, because this is like a Friday, first trading day of the year. We'll see if usually not much happens here. If you're going to see some profit taking selling, that will be happening probably. I mean, it could start happening today. It could start happening next week. You also have a lot of inflows in the 401ks for the new year. Now you can add not 8,000 to your or 7,000 to your IRA or 401k. So that's going to be put to work. So you have all that stuff happening as well first part of the year. But we'll see how it shakes out. Fundamentally, the year looks pretty good in terms of what's happening. And I'm going to be really interesting to see how these tax benefits on the one big beautiful bill is going to actually impact and show up in your pocketbooks, if it will. I mean, they keep talking about this big tax refunds and stuff like that. So overall, pretty positive outlook for the year, I think. This trading day starting off to the upside. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as the day session kicks in. I'm going to start range bound. I'm going to assume that we're not going to extend to the downside. We're going to stay in the range, and entering stage 3 in the profile will be my starting point, and then I'm just going to watch these lower areas. If they start taking out this lower end, the 69.10, and they had a single print on the way down, on the way back up, they took that out. But I'm going to pay attention to that level, 69.10, and if they start trading below it, I'll be back on that short side pretty quick. So looking to buy weakness initially at 69.20, 69.10s, rotations up, looking to sell strength, 69.40s, 69.50s, 69.60s. So that's kind of the range I'm looking at the market staying in. If they start taking out the 60s on the upside or the 69.10 on the downside, I'm going to be probably looking at the direction of move in those directions. Now on the way down, below 10, you can still look for buying opportunities again, the 6,900 and 6890s. Yes, not as aggressively. At that point, I think the second time down there, I think it's going to be potentially be able to take it out. The fact that they could be a retest setting up there, I just have to watch it when it gets there, if it gets there. But as I said, I'm going to shift my bias from range bound to the short side when it takes out the 6910s. If they do that, still looking to buy against the 6900 and 6890s for rotations up at that point. But I would be looking a lot more aggressive to sell pullbacks if they take out that 6910. And the same thing on the way up. They have short opportunities against that 6940s, the 50s up to the 60s. And if they take out the 60s, I think I'm going to be back on the long side of this. So looking to move up here, test these upper areas. So for still looking for shorts against the 68, 90, 69, 70s, 80s up to the 90s here. We are in the range at this point still. And we just have to see what kind of news is going to potentially break out of this range. All right, so some people talk about the Santa rally keeps going into January for a bit, and that could very well be true. We'll find out here in short order. But this is going to be a great year, guys. Market is at the highs. A lot of good things are happening in energy prices and some sanity in the policy making, and not just throwing money at climate change and stuff like that. Even if those topics are important, it's not the crazy spending we've seen before on these items has been definitely put on a back burner. Looking at the Nasdaq. Bigger moves on that guy on Friday, but look at that retracement on the Nasdaq. They're right back up here to this starting point. They retraced the whole New Year's Eve session and then some. They are back up again. So I think it's a risk-on move on the Nasdaq, that's for sure. So that's why I'm looking at this guy. I felt pretty positive, like, yeah, maybe we got some strength going on here. Like starting off the year, last minute selling on Wednesday. And had to do it before the year end so they can get the tax write-offs. Is very much what that felt at that last sell-off. And yeah, I mean, I did some of that myself. Took some crypto losses, and then you can just buy them back right away if you want to keep them again. So you can do that. You can't do that with stocks though. They had these wash trades which happens, which they keep your tax, but you had to wait 30 days to buy back losses, but or losing positions. But anyway, so on the crypto you don't. You just take the loss. Anyway, so they're right back up again. So I'm going to start off range bound on the Nasdaq. Same as the ES, and let's see if they're going to take. If they're going to try to take it below that 25,550, I'll be back on the short side. If they start taking out this area up here, the 820s, I'll be back on the long side. So that's kind of the dynamic. Same story there. Starting off range bound. Let's see how far they can take it. Both these overnights kind of lend themselves to wanting to start on the long side, and yeah, you can start favoring the long side in the beginning and see how if they're going to try to push it. But I'm going to start range bound and just kind of watch it and see how it develops. But if you want to favor the long side this morning, that's not a bad call either. So looking to sell strength against the 730s, 780s up to the 830s. Looking to buy weakness against 680s, 630s down to that 550s. Below 550s, taking off the any range bound bias. And starting to lean towards the short side, still looking to buy against that 500s and the 440s, just not as aggressively. And same story there, if they start taking out that 830 on the upside, still starting to lean towards the long side, and still looking for shorts against the 890s and the 930s, rotations down. So that's the dynamic. So the levels to watch, the Nasdaq is 820 to 30s, and the 550s on the downside. That's where we have it. So we'll see how this whole develops. If this overnight is just I don't know, temporary thing, you'll see them knock this out pretty hard, and you'll find them you'll find them reversing that pretty hard in the day session. I don't think that's going to happen. New Year, not necessarily any tax loss selling going on right now. If anything, the selling would be profit taking. You take profits beginning of the year to postpone your taxes on them or push them forward. So that's kind of the dynamic on NASDAQ. Slide this gap a bit. Maybe I can adjust this level a little bit. Sorry about that. This level there, I'm just going to adjust that just a bit. I want it to be like that. All right. Some of those things you see when you split, So here you have, so that's kind of where, so looking to buy against that 630, 680, 630 down to the 550s, still very much the support area. Look for. And then finally, on the bond side of things, we are looking at a little bit of a rally too, reversing back some of the losses from some of the retracement from Friday. Remember, they start taking out here in the afternoon. They sold off pretty good. It was coming. It was like a couple of bars which made most of it, and they were drifting from there. And in the overnight, it took it all the way down to the 115. So now it's drifting back up again. So we are still very much in the same range. It's not like we are moving out of the range, as you can see. I haven't folded. You can see it's just flopping around in the same range. As you keep folding these together like this, you can see how this volume is just this low volume area is just disappearing. Slowly disappearing, and you're going to start seeing this one totally fill out into a nice bell-shaped distribution. But one market hasn't moved much. This is like, this is 180 days back, and we're still very much in the same range. So you can see all the prior stuff is disappearing, and we've come to balance in a pretty good way on the bonds. So initially looking to buy weakness against the 1510s, 15.6s. Looking to sell strength against the 15.16s, 15.25s. I'm just going to do two levels up and down. We'll see if they moves more than that. It's still potential for short setups against the 16s and the 1608s. Buying opportunities against 1506, 114.30 for rotations back up again. So pretty much a range bound market. And as I said before, with this kind of a range amount, I'm just waiting for setups early at this session, at the day session open, or at the bond open, session open, and the London close. Seems to be that's where you get the best setups, but it could go either way. So, but that's what I'm usually looking for a little bit better setups, and then potential reversal trades to the mean. That's the kind of trade I'm looking for in the bonds. All right. So range bound trading on the bonds has been like a broken clock there, It's a kind of just repeating yourself on that one, but it is very predictable. No, not very predictable. It's honestly edges pretty well on the bond, and when it's range bound, you don't have to worry too much about crazy stuff happening, but you can always get caught. You can always get caught. Alrighty, guys. So we'll wrap it there for now. So starting off this first trading day of the year. Happy New Year, guys. Welcome back, and let's make this a great year. All right. So good trading, and I'll see you back at 11:30. And by the way, yes, so you know, it's almost 12 months until Christmas again. Just so you know. That's going to remind you so you don't forget. All right, guys. Later.